Good afternoon, sir. Today, me and my teammates are going to talk about on the topic of two main global economics, China and European Union. And my partners are me, Sahil Preet Singh Sen, Sukhjan Sharma, Palvi Sharma, and Ramanpreet Kaur, and Sukhman Preet Singh. So here is my first slide. Yes. First, I'm going to talk about the summary of whole 4 points. And the first one is the gross domestic product. Well, it is the standard measure of the value added created through the production of goods and services in a country during a certain period of time. For example, in India, the Coca-Cola company produces tons of Coca-Cola in a specific period of time, and they measures their value added. It also measures the income earned from the production. And my second point is trading partners. Well, it is a region or country that another region or country buy goods from a sells goods to their trading partner. For example, export and import from one country to another country. And it is a agreement between the government to exchange the data, information, items between parties. For example, China produces the electronic items to many countries. And the third point is exports and import. It is a process in which one native country receive and sell their domestic products to another countries. The product like in which a specific country productivity is much more than the quantity of sources used by them. And the fourth point is major trade agreements is a term that helps two countries to trade with each other. It is a wide-ranging tariffs and trade treaty that often includes investments and guarantees. And the rules and regulations are set up by World Trade Organization. The most common trade agreements are of the preferential and free trade types which concluded in order to reduce tariff quotas and other trade restrictions on items between the signatories. The World Trade Organization, which now has more than 140 members countries, and it is for to negotiate reduction in trade barriers. So,
Hello, Professor. My name is Sujan Sharma, and today my topic is GDP of China and European Union. But first of all, what is the meaning of GDP? Gross domestic product. It is a total monetary or market value of all the finished goods and service produced within a country borders in specific time period as a broad measure of overall domestic production. It functions as a comprehensive scorecard of a given country and economic health. GDP can be measured in following three ways: income approach, expenditure approach, output approach. GDP of China. IMF World Economics Outlook 2020 has determined China's economy at $24.2 trillion compared to America's $20.8 trillion. But it is in PPP terms, China economy grew the record 18.3% in the first quarter of 2021. To compare to the same quarter last year, it is the biggest jump in gross domestic product since China started keeping quarterly records in 1992. China factories have raced to fill overseas order for goods ranging from protective masks to work from home electronics with the rival manufacturers abroad paralyzed by COVID-19. Major economic indicators ranging from GDP, gross domestic product, industrial production, trade, retail, sales, investment. Suggest China economy has recovered to free convert levels, but Beijing has been cautioned about declaring a complete recovery, saying the foundation of recovery are still not firm. Condition after COVID-19 in year 2020 and 21. Chinese consumer are finally opening up their wallets after months of hesitation of 2019 COVID-19 pandemic. Retail sales jumped to 34.2% in March, from the last year earlier most significantly. They were 12% and 9 higher than the March 2019 before the pandemic. For many global retailers, both high street and luxury, China is their main driver of sales, especially with the most overseas market still struggling with the novel coronavirus. While China is legally COVID-19 free, though they are struggling with the though they are struggling, but COVID-19 pandemic is still spreading globally and affecting the whole world's GDP. European Union GDP. European Union has the largest economy in the world. The German economy was the largest economy in European Union. It has 3.3 trillion euros GDP in 2020. There was $15.167 trillion nominal GDP in 2020 and $19.686 PPP in 2020. In 2020, gross domestic product in European Union shrank by the 6.1% due to the impact of coronavirus pandemic and lockdowns across the continent, because at that time all the world is suffering from coronavirus. In 1930, it was a great worldwide downturn. In 2020, gross domestic product in the European Union shrank by 6.1% due to impact of the coronavirus pandemic and lockdown across the continent. Now, for 2021 and 2022, new growth rates are forecast. For 2021, it will be 4.2, and for 2022, it will be 4.4%. Comparison between China and European Union's GDP, gross domestic product. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, in 2019, China was the world's largest economy and European Union was in the third place. China contributed $22% 5 trillion to world's GDP, and European Union contributing $19.9 trillion to the world's GDP. Service sector is the China's the main source of GDP. It had contributed around 54.5% to the world's GDP in 2020. Other two sectors, industrial and agriculture, had contributed 3.7.8% and 7.7%, whereas European Union service sector's contribution was 74.7% in 2020. Industrial and agriculture sector contribution was 23.8 and 1.5 respectively. With 18.3 of the world's economy, China was the first position in the GDP of 2020 PDP, while the European Union was again in third position. Thank you so much.
So there are major trade agreements and disputes which are going between China, the European Union, and different countries. China has 6 free trade agreements with its trading partners, and the trading partners of China are ASEAN, Singapore, Pakistan, New Zealand, Chile, Peru, and so on. China also has a preferential trade agreement, which is Asia Pacific Trade Agreement. The China and Asian free trade was completed in 2010, and since then China become the biggest trade partner of Asia. China has major disputes which are always going between US and followed by European Union and Mexico. The trade war between US and China leads to the decrease in GDP. And the decrease in GDP is because of the increase in traffics and a lot of rules and regulations on import and export in in both of the countries. This trade war negatively impacts the economy of China because it slows down the growth of its economy and industry. European Union, also called EU 27, it's a collection of 27 different countries, And these countries have the most trade agreements in the whole world. European Union is the third biggest partner of New Zealand, and the trade between these two countries it's keep on increasing these days, and it increased by a good percent in the last few years. So currently, EU has trade deals with 56 countries as well as territories. The recent trade agreement of EU is with United Kingdom, which come in force in 2021. So CETA is a new trade agreement between EU and Canada. It cuts tariffs and it make it easier for the export of goods and services between these both countries, and it benefits its people and businesses between EU and Canada, which will help in prosperous of both countries. EU or also called European Union, has dispute settlement mechanism in its all trading partners to resolve disputes. EU and US disputes on aircraft is recent, which is supposed to be get resolved in 2021.
My name is Ravanpreet Kaur, and my topic is European Union and China as trading partner. The European Union and China are two of the biggest traders in the world. China is now the European Union's second biggest trading partner behind the United States, and the European Union is the China's biggest trading partner. The European Union is committed to open trading relations with China. However, the European Union wants to ensure that China trades fairly, respects intellectual property rights, and meets its obligation as a member of the World Trade Organization. Next slide, please. Okay, and the second is exports and imports. China is the European Union biggest source of imports and its second biggest export market. China and Europe trade on average over 1 billion a day. Second point is the European Union main imports from China are industrial and consumer goods, machinery and equipment, and footwear and clothing. And the third point is European Union main export to China are machinery and equipment, motor vehicle, aircraft, and chemicals. European Union trade in service amount to more than 10% of total trade in goods. And the European Union exports of service make up 19% of the European Union total exports of goods. Next slide. European Union China trade by type of goods. European Union exports of manufactured goods were 84%, hold a higher share than primary goods were 12%. The most exported manufactured goods from the European Union to China are machinery and vehicles that were 53%, followed by other manufactured products were 18% and chemicals were 13%. In 2018, European Union imports of manufactured goods were 97% from China, also had a higher share than primary goods were 2%. The most important manufactured goods were machinery and vehicles that were 53%, followed by other manufactured products were 39% and chemicals were 5%. 12% of manufactured goods dominate both exports of goods from the European Union to China and imports from China to the European Union, accounting for 85% of total exports and 97% of total imports. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, relation between the European Union and China. When China joined the WTO in 2001, it agreed to reform and liberalize important parts of its economy. And while China has made progress, some problems remain. First is a lack of transparency, and second is industrial policies and non-tariff measures that discriminate against foreign companies. And third is strong government intervention in the economy, resulting in a dominant position for state-owned reforms, unequal access to subsidies and cheap financing. And fourth is poor protection and enforcement of intellectual property rights.
Hello, my name is Sophie Singh and my topic is major trading partners of European Union and China. Firstly, I will talk about major trading partners of European Union. The 5 major trading partners of European Union are United States, China, Switzerland, Russian Federation, and Turkey. All these 5 countries import and export from European Union. The United States is the biggest importer of European Union, having 21.70% shares, and China is the second biggest importer of European Union with 10.95% shares. China is the largest exporter of European Union, having 20.44% shares, and the United States is the second largest exporter of European Union with 14.22% shares, and the other 3 countries hold a small share in imports as well as export. Next slide, please. Now, there are major trading partners of China. The 5 major trading partners of China are the United States, Hong Kong, Japan, Korea Republic, and Vietnam. The United States is the first major importer of China with 16.75% shares, and Hong Kong is the second major importer of China with 11.19% shares, and other 3 countries hold a small shares in these tradings. Korea Republic is the largest exporter of China with 8.39% shares, and Japan is the second largest exporter of China with 8.29% shares. Differences between major trading partners of European Union and China. The United States and China are 2 major importers and exporters of European Union, whereas the United States is the major importer of China and Korea is the largest exporter of China. Moreover, China is major trading partner of European Union, whereas European Union does not trade much with China due to some reason. And given below are the references for my sources. Thank you.